Hello, good day. Thank you for joining me. My name is Dennis and welcome to my art channel. Today we're going to be doing a watercolor using just about every color in this palette. I've got the layout of all the names and colors just above the painting here. Starting out, I'm going to grab the oval wash brush and give every square inch of the canvas a bit of pigment. In this case, I'm starting with carmine and cobalt blue, giving nice just base layer to the painting, something so that I'm not just working on white, and I guess a bit of a gradient as well, since it's going red to blue, maybe a bit of like with just these two colors on it, maybe a ocean scene here, you know, some sort of sunset over a river, but immediately going in with a smaller brush, my round brush, going in with cadmium yellow, try to get as much lightning as possible around the blue, and then following it up with the darkest color on my palette, the deep indigo. Yeah, I hope y'all are doing well. I am enjoying myself this fine day. Nothing like a painting to ease the mind and just sort of let full focus in on something that hopefully isn't too chaotic. Here, it's a palette that I very much know and brushes that I'm familiar with. What I'm trying to do with this painting that's new, though, is really a fresh kind of take on my wet and wet technique, where I do have a lot of pigment and water on the page, but I'm trying to restrict the amount of water. I feel like my past few paintings I've been using a bit too much water. It's pooling a lot of water on the bottom of the painting, and this is a thicker paper than the last one that I used, but I am trying to fully cover with pigment and water, and then after every part is filled, I'll start to blend in between the colors and try to incorporate perhaps some dry brushing towards the end. You can see I've added some oranges and some more yellows and started combining the ultramarine and the the vermilion near the top, and in the middle it's becoming new colors, these greens, these violets. I'm not going to give everything a name. I just know the pigments that I'm working with, but trying to develop some new colors in this big kind of color field that I'm making. So far, I don't think I've given this any kind of particular subject, although I feel like there are some kind of things alluding to certain things. Like I do feel like I have a bit of a horizon going on, and maybe some trees in the background as it currently stands in the painting, but that is bound to develop as the upper area, even though it does still have that light carmine wash. It's almost white compared to how saturated every other part of the painting has become. Going in a bit more linear now and trying to see what I can do with red tones and bring in a bit of definition on some of the shapes there. following it up with dark indigo, just feathering around and finding its own place on the painting. That's a beautiful brush filled with yellow, and instantly hitting that saturated indigo, it starts to mix. It starts to mix into a bit of a green, but pick up some red and it starts to turn back into an orange. Move it around the paper, pick up some more colors, and it starts to turn brown, and sort of like a mismatch of autumn leaf colors. Some more yellow turns into more greens and oranges. That said, there's always some areas that maintain the full kind of saturation of the palette colors. There's always going to be some areas that don't get fully mixed. I am trying not to just I could turn it into a mess by, I guess, grabbing another wash brush and just swiping all across the page, mixing every color. I'm not trying to make one color here. I'm trying to just mix all of the colors into interesting gradients and areas. That's a bit different than the abstract watercolors I've made the past couple of months. I feel like, yet it's still very much connected and just progressing off of what I've been doing. It makes it easier, I think, testing out this kind of style on this smaller size page. And so I think the next logical step is to work on a size up and make it larger. I always feel like there's something very, what's the word? I don't want to say there's a nice value, but there's something meaningful about working in the small space that almost feels too small for the idea that you've got. I feel like the size restriction can either aid or hurt a piece. I feel like in this case it aids it, that I'm able to focus entirely on just a small sort of cut composition. But if I were working on a larger scale, like say instead of this being 4 inches by 6 inches, this were 4 feet by 6 feet, then when you see it, it's got much more I want to say like it dominates your vision, because obviously it's bigger, but it allows you to take a deeper look into all these little areas. As I wouldn't say that this is one part of that 6x4 painting, but rather imagine blowing this up to 6 foot by 4 foot and then getting to look into all these little areas. I feel like it develops into a forest of strokes at that point, and you can't just it gets hard to do something like that, because you can't just grab the same brush and make the same stroke at a larger scale. You'd have to have the equivalent brush in a larger size if it exists. So that is something that I want to try out, is working in a bit of a larger size for watercolor. Although the pads that I buy are always these kind of set sizes, like 6x8, 8x11, 11x14. It's a rather large size for watercolor, all things considered. But something that I have access to that I've been meaning to do is just a sheet of watercolor paper that they sell in the art store. It's a couple feet by a few feet, I think 3 foot by 2 foot kind of sizing. but variable sizing, and the intention with it, I do believe, is to be able to cut whatever custom size watercolor you need. But in my case, I guess I could use it to develop an even larger watercolor. That is a big goal coming up, so gotta subscribe to the channel for when that video comes out. Thank you for doing so. Please leave a like on the video if you like it. I appreciate it. Sorry if I trail off sometimes when I'm talking. The way that I do these videos is, you know, the painting is one take, one recording. Whatever happens, happens. Might cut if I need to like go get water or something like that. And same thing for the voiceover. I mean, not live painting, as I do need to speed up a fair bit of the process to be able to get manageable kind of video time. But this is, you know, one take. Every mistake that I make, I do keep it in, unless it's something so drastic like dropping out of my chair or something. I wouldn't want to burst eardrums, you know. Yeah, it's a fun time, little video process. I hope you enjoyed seeing the painting process. I feel like, yeah, now that I'm touching up some of the edges and corners, it feels like it's about to finish. You can see that it's still got a bit of blooming for the water, and it is gonna still bleed out some more before it fully dries. But here's a bit of a close-up of what we're working with here. You'll see all the little gradients and little lines that have been made. Hundreds of little paint strokes on a tiny little canvas. But a nice little composition. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Once again, if you liked it, I appreciate a like. Subscribe if you're new here, and take care. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.